to the Courageous Self-Care podcast. I'm your host, Christina Marlette. On this show, we get into self-care that is transformational. And as much as I love going to the spa and getting my nails done and getting body wraps and massages and working out and eating well, if that's the only approach you take to self-care, you are still going to be drained because those are all just extra things to add in. And so what the kind of self-care that I really love to also shine a light on is the internal stuff, the beliefs, the patterns, the habits, what is holding you back energetically. And when we do that, it opens up, well, for me, in my experience anyways, and the clients I've worked with, it opens up lasting transformation, and it makes all the external self-care so much more fluid and flowing and easier so that you never have to push yourself through anything. It's all about opening up and receiving. That gets me really excited. And last year I really took a deep dive into what my values were, and a couple of them came up that are also the values of courageous self-care. They're community and connection. And I think in this age where we can connect with anyone on a screen, it's still so valuable, and even more so now, important to connect face to face. And so I decided to create the Courageous Self-Care Festival so I could gather people who wanted to learn more and who already know a lot and who are looking for some tweaks and new strategies to be in each other's energy. It was totally magical. The energy was amazing. And I decided in that amazing energy to do it again this year. So here we are, 1 year later, doing the Courageous Self-Care Festival. It's getting closer. And what I wanted to do on the podcast is highlight the expert speakers and some of the wellness marketplace vendors because, oh my gosh, they are just too good to keep to the one day. I want to share them with the world. And I know you're listening from all over the world, so thank you for tuning in. And today I'm welcoming to the show Charmaine Ironside. Charmaine, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me, Christina.
So glad that you're here. I love spending time with you. So Charmaine, tell us a little bit about who you are and how you love to spend your time.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I am I'd say I'm an eternal optimist. I love life. Always, no matter how many challenges are coming my way, I'm always looking for how to grow and learn and thrive under those challenges. I've got an almost 8-month-old baby boy, Emmett, and he's definitely one of my big focuses in my life, and a daughter named Kennedy who's 4. And so they are the light of my life. I also love to move and celebrate my body in different ways. Specifically, I love strength training. That's the way that feels the most joyful for me to move my body. And I own a couple fitness studios where we help other people find joy in movement and also self-love and working on how we speak to ourselves and nourishing our bodies, how with our words and with our food and all that kind of good stuff. And that's a little bit about me.
I love it. I love the eternal optimist. I am the same way. And I love that you're talking about the joy in movement. I just came from the gym. I was on I was on bike and listening to some uplifting stuff at the same time. And I think it's so important to find that joy in movement and not make it something that you have to do, but finding how you like to move in a way that makes you feel alive.
Yeah, totally. And I always say we get to do it. We get to move because there's a lot. Well, I know for myself, I was almost paralyzed 10 years ago in a snowboard accident. So I almost lost that, that privilege. So I'm very grateful for my body. And that was a big turning point for me in terms of showing gratitude and being appreciative for my body.
Yeah, we are made to move. And in fact, my husband and I once started a business, one of the first iterations of my business. It was called Made to Move. But then people were like, are you a moving company? Like, maybe that's not the best name. Okay, take 2. But yeah, we're totally made to move. And everything improves when we move our bodies consciously and with intention.
I agree.
Yeah. As a former phys ed teacher, that has been my lifelong message. If you could bottle all the benefits of exercise and movement into a pill, it would be the best-selling product in the world.
That's so true. That is so true. And it takes something to get moving, and I know it's easier to keep momentum than it is to get it for exercise. So I'm passionate about keeping the momentum and helping people find it too.
Yeah, I love it. So you're going to be speaking at the festival. Tell us a little bit about your topic and why it's important to you.
Yeah, so I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my journey towards living in a body that I feel really good about. I've yo-yoed with my weight between 125 pounds and 200 pounds, gained and lost hundreds of pounds in my life. And it's only been in the last few years that I've really found a happy place with my weight. So I'm excited to share some of the ways that I did that, and hoping I can help impact some people that might struggle with similar things.
I think that is a very pervasive struggle. I've definitely been there myself. I don't know that I've completely solved it, but feeling better than before. And I know the struggle. It's very painful to not love the home that your soul lives in.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It's true. And I believe, we're meant for big things on this earth. And if we don't enjoy where we live, like you said, it's hard to shine our light if we're not happy in our body. So.
So what would you say is the difference from when you're going to share this in your talk, but for people who can't be there, what's one of the main differences between the former you who went through all those yo-yo weight loss experiences and the you now?
Yeah, so I guess the biggest difference is that back then I would attempt or start a fitness program or a nutrition regime or a diet because I hated myself. I loathed myself. I was disgusted with the way I looked or the way my weight was. And so that would always spur me into action, but it would never keep me motivated super long. Whereas now I see it as like something that pulls me. Like I'm not doing it because I don't like myself. I'm actually doing it because I love myself. And so it's not, once I'll lose weight, then I'll love myself. For me, I had to figure out how to love myself and accept myself. And then I was able to drop the weight and live in my best body. And so it had to flip it. Instead of waiting until I lost the weight to love myself, I had to learn to love myself first. And that's what I'm so passionate about showing people.
Yeah, I can really identify with that and resonate with it. And it's kind of like I was saying in the intro, if we're always pushing against something, man, does that take a lot of energy. And I love how you said instead, when you have the self-love and the desire to nourish yourself with movement and great food and great attitude and belief systems, then you're getting pulled towards something, which makes all the difference.
Yeah, it's exhausting the other way around. And pain definitely can be a catalyst for change. However, I think inspiration is the thing that keeps us in motion and excited about what we're doing.
Yeah, I was just getting the image of if something you want is on the other side of a closed door and you're trying to push and push and push the door to get open and it doesn't open that way, then it takes a lot of energy. But if you simply open the door and walk through, there it is. It's so much easier.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and the door is self-care and self-love. Okay, so I'm super excited to hear more about your talk. I loved your talk last year. I know people really found it to be powerful and useful. And so now we're going to shift into talking a little bit more about what courageous self-care is. So for you, Charmaine, what does self-care mean?
I think for me, the biggest thing that comes to mind for self-care is saying no. And I said in a more positive way. I like to say yes only if it's a hell yes. And so I'm super disciplined and discerning now with my time. And so a lot of things are a no now. And whereas before I'd say yes to everything, which left nothing for myself. And I was depleted energetically, physically, mentally, spiritually. So my definition of self-care is being able to say no to anything that's not a hell yes. Yeah.
I love that. It's so powerful, so true. And when you say a no to someone else, you are saying yes to yourself. So there's always a yes within the no. And if you're always saying no to yourself, everyone gets the best of you except you.
Yeah, and I lived my life like that for a very long time. So I'm not interested in doing that any longer.
Yeah, that is exhausting. I remember when I stopped teaching because I went on mat leave, I realized, oh my gosh, I was in this vortex of saying yes to absolutely everything. And in teaching, it's more like, you're expected to do this now. Here's what you're doing. Oh, okay, yes. And I didn't have any boundaries or know how to stand up for myself. So that doesn't work very well.
No, yeah, no, it's it's a big life lesson though. I think you're lucky and I'm lucky we kind of figured it out.
Yes, absolutely. And so do you have an example of something that you would have said yes to in the past that now you find it more empowering to say no to?
I mean, what pops to mind is just like when people ask me to meet for coffee or, something like that. Often I'll say, hey, coffee doesn't work. However, I could jump on a quick call. And so sometimes I'll compromise and do a call, but I don't like to drive. I actually bike almost everywhere. And so if it's not in a biking distance, I'll often say no, because I don't get a lot of joy when I'm in my car. But yeah, I'm just really thinking about like, does this align with my vision for my life? Because I like what you said, it has to be a yes to them and to me. If it's just a yes to them, then it has to be a no. But I love to say yes if it's a yes to both, and that's when the magic happens.
Yeah, that's super powerful. And I love that you also are really clear on things that do fill you up. So, and you've set some containers, like if it's somewhere I can ride and it's a yes, absolutely. If it's in my car, then, well, I have to think about it a little bit more. So it's great to have those standards for yourself where it makes decision-making easier.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think the less willpower and decisions we have to make in a day, the better.
Yeah, I'm just reading the book, Willpower Doesn't Work.
Yeah, it's a great book. I've read that.
So good. So good. Shout out to the author that I don't remember the name of.
Yeah.
If Benjamin, someone. You need a good book on making better decisions and making better choices. I recommend it. It's a free plug for that book. Okay, now moving along to the courage part, we would love to hear a juicy secret. So what is something that not a lot of people know about you?
Oh man, I read these questions in advance and I had kind of planned what I was going to say, but I don't know. I'm just going to go for it. This is not what I planned, but I guess really at my quote unquote worst, with my kind of disordered eating, I used to chew up chocolate bars and spit them out just so I could get the taste of it, but not get the calories. And this is when I was trying to be like my skinniest, tiniest self. And I remember taking these just disgusting cups of like just chocolate and just hiding them in dumpsters and because I didn't want my husband to ever find them. And I've told him this since then, but that was, I don't know, probably 8 or 9 years ago. And I just, I felt so much guilt and shame around food. And so I guess I just hope that sharing that lets other people know if you have some kind of guilty habit with food, it doesn't have to be defining you for the rest of your life. And I know I had to get support and get help because I couldn't find the happiness in my body by myself. So I'm huge about support and community like you're talking about, and we don't have to walk alone. So I like to share vulnerable stories so that maybe I could help someone else who feels like they're just a lunatic or a food lunatic, or they feel ashamed, because we've all had our demons and stories.
Wow. Thank you for your courage in sharing that, Charmaine. That's a really powerful story. And I love your vulnerability. I think that is one of the most courageous ways we can show up, is being vulnerable. And I think you set a really strong example by also telling your husband once the tension around that had passed for you. And I remember when you were telling that story, which I haven't heard before, I remember reading Gilda Radner's biography, and she went through cancer and she couldn't eat. And she would chew up food just to have the taste of it and then spit it out. And I thought, because I was not doing that well with food, I'm like, wow, that's a great idea. But I didn't do it because I also like to swallow the food. Yeah, so I just went into total restriction.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many sides of the coin, but for me, it was like I didn't love myself enough to swallow the food. Kind of like I couldn't just let myself have it and trust my body. And there's lots of things involved.
Yeah, that's a super powerful story. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now that you've been vulnerable and you've shared such great information, I know people are going to want to connect with you. And I do want to reiterate what you said that's so important is if you think you're going to change a behavior using just yourself and your willpower, which doesn't work according to the book, you're mistaken. So if something is getting to the point where you have had enough of it, you do need to find someone to help you. And it's so beneficial to find someone who's walked the path before so that they can condense time for you and reduce your struggle and suffering. That is how you make change in your life. You show up differently. And if that is the hardest thing to do is to ask for help, then that is what you must do. And Tony Robbins said, the reason you can't is the reason you must. And so with that, I want to encourage you to reach out to Charmaine if you are feeling a charge around any of this information, totally identifying with it in a place that's really painful for you. Reach out. So Charmaine, where can people find you online?
Yeah, so can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, if you just want to reach out to me directly, you can always email me, Charmaine with a C at ironsidefitness.com. And also you can check out ironsidefitness.com. We've got lots of great information on there. We have amazing programs where we are holding your hand and supporting you every step of the way on your fitness and nutrition and lifestyle change journey, because we don't really feel like anyone needs to walk alone with that. And yeah, you can check us out on Instagram, Ironside Fitness, and Facebook, all those great places.
I bet you have some amazing client stories.
Yes, we definitely do. And it's so much beyond weight loss. It's just a whole life change for sure. Confidence, all that great stuff.
That's what makes it sustainable rather than keep on going back and forth, right?
Yeah, I like to focus on the non-scale victories for sure.
Beautiful. Well, I'm so grateful that you took time to share your energy and your wisdom and your stories with us. Thank you so much, Charmaine. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to the festival.
Yeah, me too. So speaking of the festival, if you are in or around Calgary or feel like getting yourself to Calgary for the festival, it's totally worth it. It's happening on Saturday, November 16th. And if that is just not a possibility for you, oh well, these interviews will have to be enough. But if you are here or nearby and wanting to come as a gift for listening to the show, please go to selfcareticket.com. The link is in the show notes. Get yourself a free ticket, and you can even bring a friend. So that is the gift. Big pat on the back to you for listening and showing up today and being open to shifting your own courageous self-care. I applaud you for that, and I'm giving you a giant virtual pat on the back. That is not a slap. It just feels really nice and nurturing. Charmaine, thanks again for being here.
Thanks, Christina.
Okay, and thanks for listening. I look forward to connecting with you next time. Bye-bye for now.